I say, whoa now, Dad, what's happening with it? It's your minds and them foul shot, the AKA the Toothless Wonder, reporting on the Bamboozled Again News Network. And I was just thinking about, and this is segue, highlight, I caught a video from the brother on here, Immortal Minds. I like his content, right? Just about learning and growing from your experiences and, you know, at the very least, in one area aspect of your life, at least being in the 1%, right? And how, whatever niche you carve out that has you in the 1% is actually your pathway to freedom, such as, my life journey of, addiction and various Negroes and people I've encountered, the experience of what I learned about myself, the world at large, that actually put me on a path I was already out of religion, but on a path of a personal relationship by the Most High in practical everyday sense terms that I can relate to just about anybody or any demographic, depending on who I discern I'm talking to, probably has me in the 1%. And I probably said this months ago in a video, this pursuit of freedom, right? And there are levels of it, you know what I mean? But technically, I'm free now. You know what I'm saying? I'm free to effectively, properly engage with whatever life brings my way. Granted, you have emotions. Don't nothing change because you're mad. But after I get out of the emotion of the thing, I instantly go into problem solving mode. Even if the solution to the problem might not be 6 months down the road, at least I'm effectively in the fight. In this society, and me and my coworkers was talking about this, in this society where as though I think trauma and triggers are overused words that seem to hold people in the trauma or the trigger, but very seldom, even in the church house or what, I very seldom see people actually behaviorally overcome. Now they can use intellectual talking points about a solution or XYZ, but typically very seldom do I see it in their behavior or feel it coming off their aura. So much so that when I, tell people or just haphazard conversation, right, of various things I experienced, gotten through, breaking my neck, losing a significant other, you know what I mean, for, being out of commission for a decade and I wasn't incarcerated, you know what I mean, the various, character defects and flaws that I realized about myself, um, people will be blown away like, really? Wow. You mean you're not bitter? Or? Nah. Bitter holds me in that space. In order to gain or to grasp onto something else, like monkey bars, I had to let go of the previous bar. But then, and again, I realize I do tend to overanalyze at times. It's a double-edged sword, right? So if you get the what they call that, the inertia or whatever, and then once I grab, I let go of one bar, I got one bar because I'm gonna need that to get the momentum going. But if I don't properly grab this bar, I'll fall. And sometimes what ends up happening, the fear of a thing is actually greater than the actual thing itself. A lot of times, the things we have are fears, doubts, insecurities, so on and so forth, right? Be all mental constructs in our mind, probably based off previous experiences. Typically, that's a PTSD response. I see something that resembles something I've experienced in the past, or an environment, XYZ, whatever the case may be, and then it instantly transports me to that emotional feeling at that time. But that's not always the case. You see what I'm saying? Um, let's say I'm in a dangerous environment, or the hood rather. You know what I'm saying? The hood doesn't trigger me because I've typically overcome the pitfalls that you normally find in that environment. Um, the succubus that be there. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually turned off by the typical grouping. I've talked about this ad nauseum. The typical grouping of Negroes that you find in that environment. I'm totally beyond all that. So don't none of it trigger me. But because of my past experience, I've learned from it to identify, to know how to move around it. And I was like that for years, repeatedly making the same mistakes, wanting what I see to be what I want it to be, rather than seeing it for what it is and just, governing myself accordingly. Okay, I give you case in point, right? Say if I have a great desire for companionship, right? So let's say I'm in the bar. Intellectually speaking, especially in 2025, unless I'm vibrating, low in a low vibrational state, and then the shelf life on that don't last that long either. What is the likelihood of me finding a life partner or some genuine companionship in that environment? But I'll still go to that environment, right? Because my proclivities, such as drinking or my inability to find other hobbies, keep placing me in an environment that don't suit me. And then I get mad when I can't find what I'm looking for in a place where it ain't supposed to be at. Did I articulate that correctly? You understand me? So once I started moving in a different energy and submitted to the process, now my environment didn't change. I was changing unbeknownst to myself. So how I view the environment changed. You see what I'm saying? I already knew when it dawned on me, this ain't gonna be no quick fix. This is probably gonna take years. Like it took me 2 years to get my life back from when I actively started working on it. You see what I'm saying? It was probably a year and some change before I actually found myself in a field of work where I actually like going to work because the work didn't feel like work. And the work was actually along the skill set that had been honed during my transitionary season that I had prayed to get out of, which then gives me more faith, even though I don't understand this, why is this happening, X, Y, Z. Looking back previously from a learning standpoint and not a bitterness standpoint, even if I don't know exactly what it is, it got to be for my good. I said one time when I was in treatment, right? Again, I'm the black philosopher, right? I don't even know what I need to know, but I'll try to figure out what I don't know that I haven't thought of and think of that and then try to implement it. That's crazy, ain't it? You don't know something till you know it. But with my personal, relationship and experience with the Most High, whatever I don't know, or I'll put it this way, whatever skill set that I may need in the future is getting honed now. I just don't realize it. So now in my field of work, typically in the mental health, substance abuse issue treatment, I typically come from a different perspective. I don't want to help you. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. My goal when I'm at work is for you to never need me no more. Not because I don't want to deal with you, I'm tired of you. No, because if you deal with me and I problem solve for you, or we lay out a game plan and you effectively work it, that means I've done my job. That leads credence to my competency in this particular thing. Again, as I use the analogy, if I take my car to a mechanic and I keep taking it back, he's probably a bad mechanic. But again, in this social construct that wants to keep, from my belief, understanding, social observation, they want to keep you a victim. Like I took responsibility for stuff I didn't even know because I didn't want to be the victim. I didn't want to be complaining. I didn't want to go around the home or always got somebody did me wrong or they got over or I didn't know this and then why did this is like this and this here. You know what I'm saying? That don't make me feel like no man Jody Joe. You know what I'm saying? that was on the movie Baby Boy. So even if, let's say, I don't have all the information and the outcome isn't favorable, again, like I said, I learned something I didn't previously know. And once I know it, I can't unknow it, and I bet you it won't happen again. Because I understand this, as a man, you don't, especially not now, nor probably ever, you're not afforded the ability to keep repeating the same mistakes. Like looking back over my past, I'm very diligent about, who I let my personal life. From looking back on it, which I've healed from, I've been moving this area of compassion here lately. I don't know if it's because I was fasting, but I have no ill will towards nobody. If they don't do that way back then, I'm not operating the way I'm operating now at such an integral time in human and history with the spiritual context that I see it as now, where everybody's getting bamboozled by bamboozler, and it seems like manipulation, gaslighting are almost college courses at this point that people want to use to move themselves up. My path along, my life journey within the last 4 years is actually the opposite, which does kind of repel people to a certain degree, but at least with me, you know what I'm hitting for. My reputation speaks for itself. I have not changed from my principles or what I stand on. If I said I was going to do something, I did it. And let's say hypothetically I couldn't do it. As soon as I found out, I told you, and then I told you with a remedy to the situation and a time frame when it should be resolved. Just character stuff, where seemingly character is being eroded, or it's just words in a dictionary that nobody operate by. Because sometimes in operating by character, you don't. It don't always. I ain't gonna say it always feel good. Sometimes it don't turn out right. Sometimes keeping it real, as we see, let's say in social media space or streets or anywhere in society, nobody's keeping it real because they don't want they don't want the byproduct of keeping it real. Typically, when you keep it real, you find yourself by yourself, and the only people that understand you are people who are doing the same thing. And in a society where it seems like your self value is people base their self value on who's around them, what kind of title, but they're all degenerates. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm so great, and high and mighty. I used to be just like that. That's why I can get that articulation. Who else is well versed to talk about these things? I can probably hold court in, Harvard Law School or whatever the case may be, or one of these higher institutions of learning about any segment of the black populace, its plight, the mentality, so on and so forth. I don't fool with black people for the most part, not because I think I'm better than them, but because from where I'm at and how I see it, they're actually dangerous to my personal growth and development. You know what I'm saying? So when you had to work and earn something, you value it, so you protect it. This wasn't no flyby. It's not like, I stopped drinking for 6 months and then I got a career making $70,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? I was riding a bike so long, you know what I'm saying? But that was my claim to fame. My bike and my knee-high polo socks. You know what I'm talking about? But it was building character. But nobody wants to go through the process. I ain't want to go through it. I thought, because I think I'm so smart, I thought I'm supposed to hurry up, get on, and leave all this in the past, and within a year. No. And let's say hypothetically that happened. I wouldn't have the memory of how hard it was. Not in bitterness, but in value. You know what I'm saying? Like Kobe valued the game. That's why he woke up 4 o'clock in the morning and put up, an umpteen amount of jumpers. Because he valued the game. You know what I'm saying? He's a student of the game. He loved the game. You understand? People are just playing the game, but they don't watch no game film. They don't practice. They just want to get on the court. And then when they get on the court, they wonder why they're getting horsed in the paint. You ain't ran no suicides. You ain't done nothing. But then you'll blame the coach, the team, or everybody else but you for your performance on the court. That's crazy. I could use that analogy typically in the dating world. You'll say, and I hear this all the time, just in, my daily do, right? Men and I hear from black women, white women, whatever, right? Men ain't nothing. Men this, men that. Okay, so tell me about the men that you chose to deal with. Then they might tell me, right? And I'm not saying it like from a condemning point. I'm trying to say it from like a personal responsibility standpoint. So when you dealt with these type of men, because typically they're the same type of dude with a different face, what result were you expecting to get? Maybe it's not them. You ever looked at why you're attracted to these type of dudes? Who may be, mostly unavailable or whatever you say, or whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop. But now what I'm saying is a lot of time people want to play victim. That is insane to me from where I sit at now in, a mentally, emotionally spiritual sense. We don't watch movies about victims and then clap at the end and feel inspired. But in real life society, everyone doesn't want the responsibility of their own life. Even if you see in the political world or whatever they come out law-wise, let's say they're going to cut this or cut that. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? Because, maybe you're attached to the system or the illusionary matrix makes you feel, whoop, 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 right? But it's totally asinine if you think about it and break it down to the molecule. If the government say, oh, we're going to cut food stamps, right? And you get mad, right? But think about it. You're actually mad that the government won't do something you're supposed to do for yourself, which is feed yourself. If you don't eat, You're unalive. But you want someone else to do it. That's crazy. When you think about it, it's crazy. But we understand like how the society, convenience and leisure. And it's not like we're living in, I don't know, the 1875s. And, you know what I mean? I get all that, yo. But I'm just like, yo, if you think, and then typically the response is, they'll know I'm right. Because I've had to tell this to myself. Anger. So even with the I guess Trump, energy harvesting with the tariffs, not tariff, not tariff, whatever, right? It's still going down too. I don't care what the man do. That's why they get caught up in that stuff. You know what I'm saying? For what? And you know how I know? Because it's in the word. So eventually, we don't know when, but it's going to happen. So let me just prepare. Let me be purposeful on a day-to-day basis to be a watchman on the wall. So if I see, or if I watch TV and they say tomorrow it's going to rain, it's going to be 5 inches, it is completely stupid to come outside the next day and be unprepared for rain that I saw in the forecast the day before. Like here in America, we do these kind of mental things and slap a mental label, but it has to come from a spiritual place. The way I see it now, the whole demonstration is spiritual. It's just playing out in the physical realm. You understand me? Like I said, there are no new spirits, right? So when I talk about identifying groups of people wherever I might be at, right? Typically, wherever I'm, like I said, if let's say a dude zesty or whatever you want to call it, right? Typically, he exhibits certain mannerisms, traits that come with the spirit that's attached to that. You know what I mean? All alcoholics, no matter race, age, they all do the same thing. All the people who, let's say, might be addicted to heroin, regardless of race, social economics, where they come from, they all exhibit the same traits. All harlots do the same thing. They, especially Negro, they all talk the same way, they all dress the same way, they all have the same mentality, they all have the same mannerism. Anything you do habitually has a spirit attached to it. That's how I'm able to identify it. So now I'm not moved by words. Like Biggie said, words don't affect me. I'm watching what you do. Not, again, in a condemning sense, but because I have to, navigate the various minefields that are set up for the Negro here in captivity. So I don't even get all bent out of shape now about, the bully coon Negro, all the pastor, please pass the peas line, or, bone queen should take somebody's child. They're supposed to do that because of the spirit attached to them. What else are they going to do? That, again, I'm going to go back to the basketball analogy, right? That's like, okay, I'm a coach, right? And, what I'm saying, let's say, one of our players got hurt. So I need somebody average 20, right? And then somebody who's on the team, who's been sitting on the bench, come to me and say, Coach, put me in the game, I can average 20, right? But I see you miss free throws at practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would make me believe that all of a sudden now, without no practice or showing any glimpses of anything, now you going to get in the game and average 20, yo? Where? You just talking. That's why I'm not really big on talking now. That's, I kind of been on social media, 2-3 days, I guess. I ain't had nothing to talk about. Sometimes I just want to marinate in whatever downloads I'm getting, or like I've been real moved in this spirit of and maybe that's a prerequisite for the next level, because if I don't forget, the Most High ain't gonna forget me. You see what I'm saying? And when I think about in totality, when I take my little emotions out or my little feelings that was at the time, outside of the feeling, nothing happened. I just had unfair expectations on folk. Granted, I might not, you know what I'm saying? Cause I tend to see the best in everybody, not, and I still do. I also see it with wisdom as well, you know what I'm saying? But I had to go through all that, you know what I'm saying? So not only like breaking my neck, my shawty passing, the homeless seasons, the addiction season, it all made me who I'm is now. And for the most, well, not even the most part, I sleep peacefully every night. Let something go on I don't agree with or that is against my principle, I ain't even finna argue with you. I'm gonna explain it to you. But if I discern you're not trying to understand where I'm coming from, I'm gonna just stop talking and I'm gone. I'm not gonna try to convince you of something I already know to be true. Can't nobody change my reality as I know it to be, or what I know I've learned and implemented and seen the result thereof. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know about witchcraft and all. Like, I don't even think, not even just me, I'm talking about y'all in general. I don't even think the spells used to work. The same stuff that used to trip you up ain't working. You know what I'm saying? And now they scrambling and panic in the spiritual realm, right? So when you see, and I got something going on, kind of similar. All you gotta do is hold and just keep banging. Um, like I said, I don't think I've ever like actively like beat a situation. I just outlasted it. Endurance. So now I'm kind of, I did a video a while back about being spiritually long-winded. Now would I like to be, let's say outside of the country? Now I kind of done dialed that back because everywhere I got volcanoes blowing up, planes can't stand, they can't stop crashing into the ground. All that. I'm right where I'm supposed to be in my freedom. You know what I'm talking about? In the same place where I have a large stretch of addiction history and ain't in no danger of doing none of that. In a place where I did it for decades. If that ain't a miracle, if that isn't a pulling down of a stronghold, I don't know what is. Submitting myself to the path of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? I've gotten better with that. You know what I'm saying? I still got my goal, dream, desire. But to be told, and not an ego or nothing, they can't do nothing with me now. Technically, when I was broke, they couldn't do nothing with me. I just went on a societal sense. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little bit, it seems to get magnified greater. Because I'm not used to having it. Or less, you know what I mean? Or from years of being kind of isolated. I got real two show enough homeboard, one drive truck, one in Baltimore, right? The quality of these individuals is vastly greater than probably all, like the various people I might see in the Matrix or MP, whatever you call them people, right? Whatever their social grouping is or job-wise title, pales in comparison to what I have in these two brothers that I met on the battlefield in the fire of affliction, where we were all trying to do the same thing. Get back right, become better men, and then leave a legacy. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, what else is there? I've heard it said, and I know this to be true. If a man is not pursuing his purpose, he's distracting himself with pleasure. And they got all the pleasure out here for you. Got got Chipotle, you know what I'm saying? We got the assembly line of harlots, you know what I'm saying? We have, distractions. Of course, everything in my TV, movies, social media, woo 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 woo. Oh, let me leave on this note, right? And I'll segue this, right? How do I word it? In reference to, now I was calling the man Genghis Khan, right? And Newbury that used that in a bar, right? Shout out to him, right? And I don't subscribe to, I'm gonna call the other brother Ringo Hannibal, right? Because when they first had that this is probably about a year or so ago now, right? Maybe a little more. The way I was looking, it was like he was trying, I don't know what inhabited him or whatever, but it seemed like within the, let's say the Hebrew spiritual space among like black folk, right? It seemed like Hannibal, aka Ringo, was on a tirade to either one, assimilate you to his side where he reigns supreme, or decimate all the other content creators, right? And he went and it played out exactly like I knew it would. Then he stopped for a minute, then he flared up. You know what I mean? Whatever. So I was saying something about it got on this. I forgot the guy's name. He's probably like 77 or something like that. And I checked out something. It's actually like a make good content on various talks. He's very knowledgeable, right? So he came out, Hannibal, aka Ringo, came out the 77-year-old man. Come on. See, that's what I talk about. They say sin or whatever, unless something stops it, the Most High, or the sin destroys you, there's no level that they won't, there's no line they won't cross. I've seen it in gangsterism, where now all the gangsters are telling on each other, right? But then say, we stick to the code and don't snitch. But as soon as snitching benefit you, you quick to do it and then justify it. Like Jigga Man, he wouldn't, bust up no 13-year-old girl and all this here. But they do everything else. And you hang with people that do that. What you mean? And you're supposed to say alleged for, I guess, legal person and all that. But then people do that. They do everything else. We want to believe the worst behavioral people still somehow have a line they won't cross. When they've been crossed the line decades ago, you just ain't know nothing about it. Nothing is off limits at this point. If there's fame, power, and money, like I did a video, money, property, and prestige will divert us from our primary purpose. That's all Babylon can offer you. And that's falling. So what's the point in doing all that and losing your soul? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Hannibal said one day a Hebrew Israelite when he want to knock somebody else for. Then if somebody don't like say they're hit, then he not. You know what I'm saying? Like everything I done said, the year and some change I've been on here ain't changed. I just worded it a little different. And I've grown and evolved, so that might change. But what I stand on don't change. And let's say I'm wrong or I make an article like what I just said. I just come on here and say, oh, I was wrong, apologize, and learn and try to learn why did I make that articulation. But here's another skill I done got, right? Have limited information, because I'm a truth seeker, right? No matter how truth make me feel, I'll be like, that's all little. All right, you just lay it on me, I'll just deal with it. But I don't want to be bamboozled, you know what I'm saying? I just wasn't using that word when I was younger. Not at all. But for clicks, likes, and views, man, they're giving up their spiritual hind parts at this point. They don't care. I like being in clear conscience, yo. You know what I'm saying? Would I like $1 million? Yeah. But I ain't finna bamboozle nobody, or let's say some entity come to me and be like, oh, make a bad video about whoever on YouTube and we'll make sure it blow up and we'll give you $1 million. No. I don't want $1 million like that. If it come with that, now I got $1 million, but now I'll start becoming a shell of my former self. Now I'll be on here, and instead of being like, I'll be I'm trying to think of another one. I'll be the spiritual Hebrew Shaka Zulu. You know what I'm saying? Like, darn, the Toothless Wonder switched his whole style up, yo. But now in a Maybach, you know what I'm saying? Let's say I do get one. I'll be doing a video probably in some farmland in Delaware in my Maybach with a chicken in my arm. Now I'm talking about, oh, do y'all like my jacket? Yeah. I had to get it back from my daughter. You know what I mean? Always try to keep it real and pay homage to those. I know probably someone bootleg member, but it's the principle to it. Cut me some slack, you know what I mean? But on that note, I don't know, I just want to come through with some content. I may or may not go live Friday, but Saturday I'll be going live at some point from a new location, and I don't want to talk about it because somebody might see it. But it's a good thing though, you know what I'm saying? And so be on the lookout for that. One love, shout out to everybody who like, share, subscribe. Shout out to those who became members. I really appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? And we just gonna keep moving forward with the grace of the Most High and the favor of the Most High. There's no condemnation for those who are in your shore. You know what I'm saying? On that note, always remember, call your six. It's your one. It's your boy. One love, baby.